Well, I learned how to smoke because everybody else was doing it, and you were doing it because you didn't want to eat, big deal. It was a big thing back there in the 50s and early 60s, smoking, to be cool. But nicotine's very strong. One of the worst addictive substances, nicotine. Try to get off cigarettes. It's another story. I got off them when I became a Christian. The Lord helped me. Okay, marijuana. I never was offered marijuana, so I can't tell you anything about that. But caffeine, another thing. This is where we got to start curling up our toes.
This is really big here, isn't it?
Right. Caffeine addiction, and caffeine is in most soft drinks. And if it does not say caffeine-free, you can probably imagine that it is not. Even the fruit-flavored drinks like orange have caffeine in it. The only ones that wouldn't be would be like 7-Up and Diet Pepsi free.
Now, what's the purpose? Why is caffeine necessary to be a part of the processing of these soft drinks and other types of juice?
Probably because it gives people a high. See, all these things give people a temporary high. And caffeine does too, but you see it causes high blood pressure, it causes so many things. It causes people to feel better for about a half an hour. I mean, it's not uncommon for people to drink 10 cups of coffee a day.
I had a lady tell me one time that it was rather very enlightening, and at the same moment it kind of stepped on my toes, as you alluded to a moment ago. And she told me that caffeine is registered as a drug.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Well, this is the information she gave me, that caffeine is registered as a drug, and so there's a lot of it that we're drinking that we don't realize, and it is addicting.
It sure is. And if you don't think you are, try to get along without it. Right? Dr. Phelps said that she went to speak at a doctor's convention, and they decided, since she was into health, that they would have like fruit juices and good things for you to eat. It was in the morning. And she said that when the doctors found out that there was no coffee, they would not have their meeting, and the meeting was delayed for an hour and a half while they sent out for coffee. And she said that proved the whole point of the seminar.
Well, how many of us have drink a cup of coffee to keep us awake, or to and it must be the caffeine. The caffeine must be the effort.
Right, it is. And maybe an occasional cup of coffee. You're not addicted. Like 60% of the population, she says, is not addicted.
60%?
Right, is not, and 40% is. But I happen to fall very largely. And there's a test that she has in her book, too, that you can take, and to find out whether or not you're addictive. And you look into your past history, see whether or not there was alcoholics in your family, whether or not, there's been drug addicts or
people that are susceptible to addiction.
To addiction.
That will give you an indication whether or not you are susceptible to
right, and that's in the test, too, in the book. Okay? Then, like I said, really curl your toes up here, because this is the addictive substance, the sugar, that people don't want to hear. They don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. And I was so addicted to sugar and sugar products, and that's all I wanted. And it was feeding the candida. See, it, like I said, it's a vicious cycle. And
let me ask you a question. Now, we talked about the yeast connection, and I believe you were saying that the yeast is connected to a wide variety of illnesses that we maybe suffer, though it is not necessarily the definite source or cause of it. Nonetheless, it's connected. When you use the phrase food connection, what specifically are you referring to?
Well, what I meant was the sugar, really.
Okay, so we're talking
white flour too.
So we're talking about a sugar connection,
right,
when we're talking about the food connection.
Right. In this instance, there would be a lot of things. We'll be running short of time. We could get into a lot of different things about nutrition, but this is the worst offender, and this should not even be classified as a food. It should be classified as a drug.
Why not? Why?
Because it's an addictive substance, you see. If you were to eat the sugar beet or the sugar cane just like it was, it would be all right. But see, it's refined and refined and refined, just like the hard drugs are made out of something that, start out okay, but refined and refined and refined. It's just an unnatural substance that just slips down so easily that it's easy to eat 120, 130 pounds of sugar a year, you see.
And when we talk about sugar, are we talking about the kind of sugar that we put in our coffee? And are we also talking about sugar products, which
right,
mean that
cake, candy, pie, white bread has 3 teaspoons of sugar in it. A cup of white flour macaroni or spaghetti has 8 teaspoons of sugar in it. See, so we could be hooked on white flour products too. And the thing is, why do we keep eating sugar? You see, why? Why do we want these addictive substances?
Well, I think most people don't look at sugar as an addictive substance.
Don't.
They look at it as part of their food. I mean, everything we buy in the store has, listed different types of sugars that are listed, and I'd like to talk about that for a moment when we talk about reading labels. Most of us, when we go in to the store and we look at the labels, we look at, obviously they're put on there in their percentage in the ingredients, the percentage is according to their listing. Is that correct? Okay, so we may have in something, may say like it's flour, water, some other type of material, and there'll be sugar. It may say the word sugar, then it may have a couple other words, and it'll be another word like dextrose, and
that's sugar too.
Right, we could be getting several types of sugar that are not listed, so it's very much a part of the processing then of our food.
That's right, and reading labels, you've got the point. You've got to start reading labels. It really is important. Well, what happens with the addictiveness is that she's found that the people that are addictive have an underlying depression that comes along with it. And this is why they metabolize carbohydrates differently, you see. I mean, a person that's not addicted might say, what's the big deal? Bake a piece of pecan pie, where somebody that's addictive says, oh, this is so good. Oh, I got to have another piece. You know, you just about, like I said, go into orbit over something like that, or like I said about the wine, or these addictive substances just do something for you. The book tells about people that had addictive people that would have like their first shot in the hospital of some addictive substance and say, oh, I never felt better in my whole life. This is just wonderful. You know, when you have this underlying depression all those years, and this is why people drink coffee and eat sugar, because they're trying to escape from this depression.
So you're saying that then a person who is addicted to sugar just has a constant desire for more sweets, be they cookies, cake, pop, or any other substance that has a lot of sugar in it, and we don't understand that the addiction that is there, we just call it, I just like this stuff.
Right.
Or the person sitting down eating a whole bag of potato chips, or a big box of candy, or some other type of processed food, and we don't realize there's an addiction.
No, that's right. I always knew it caused cavities and it caused me to gain weight, but I did not know it was causing all these emotional problems. See, this is what was causing me to be so crabby and irritable. But and this is what the information that's got to get out. But see, the thing of it is, there's a way you can get